To combat the freezing temperatures, the city of Lexington opened a temporary shelter in November. The shelter is in place to make sure more people have access to a warm place to stay, but it's come with some frustration. Tonight, WKYT's Madison Carmouche was at a meeting where community members voiced their concerns and has more on how city leaders are responding.
Because there's not a person within the 3 blocks here that has not been affected.
Bill Hanley and his brother own and operate Double H Barbecue on First Sales Road. He says since the city opened a temporary shelter next to his business, he's seen more problems.
We've had people urinate in the parking lot. We've had people go up to cars and ask for money.
Hanley says it has negatively impacted his business during what is already a hard time. He says he has compassion for the people without a warm place to go, but he worries about everyone's safety.
People crossing the street when it is very dangerous.
Nathaniel Mission Executive Director Daniel Baer also works on Versailles Road, but his work is not for profit. He says there has always been a large unhoused population in the area. Baer says he hopes everyone can work together for a long-term solution.
Also brings with it some of that dark side of caring for neighbors who face those kinds of challenges. We believe that it's nevertheless worth the effort to keep on pursuing care for these individuals.
It's just that the conditions that lead to homelessness often contribute to behaviors that make it difficult for communities and neighbors. And so when we do help those folks, we have to make sure we have the protections in place for neighborhoods.
After hearing from community members at Thursday's meeting, Housing Advocacy and Community Development Commissioner Charlie Lanter says he understands people's safety concerns. He says the temporary shelter has helped more than 600 people since opening in November, but they haven't lost sight of the end goal.
And what Lexington is going to do next is our next permanent step, because what we're doing right now is just filling a gap temporarily.
In Lexington, Madison Carmouche, WKYT.
The city's temporary shelter at 1306 Versailles Road closes on April 1st.